First year, welcome to the third lesson of desktop publishing. Hopefully you've enjoyed it so far. This lesson will involve me talking for a little bit, not too long, and the majority of the lesson will be you carrying out an exercise task, which you should hopefully enjoy. But the learning intentions are to understand the four design elements, focusing today on repetition. The success criteria is you must be able to understand why repetition is used in design, and you should be able to identify areas of repetition such as colors, shapes, fonts, and size, and we'll look at that in more detail later. And you could be able to successfully apply repetition to an existing advertisement, which you will do. So thinking back to last week's lesson, we spoke about the four basic design principles, the big four. We have contrast, repetition, alignment, and proximity. And last week we looked at contrast. Today we're going to look at repetition, which is quite the opposite, but both of them, when used well, are extremely useful and good for desktop publishing when you're making some sort of poster or whatever it is you're looking at. So repetition, by definition, obviously, is to repeat things happening again and again and again. And as I mentioned, it's the opposite of contrast. It's the contrast of contrast. But humans like patterns. We do like patterns. If things aren't the way we expect them to be, we'll be agitated and why is that there, sort of thing. We want things to be in patterns. And if it's not in patterns, it makes things very uncomfortable. The thing you see the most without realizing is repetition. You will see repetition everywhere you look, but you just don't really realize that you're seeing repetition. Things being done and again, whether it's two sofas that look the same in a living room, whether it is frying pans that are all the same style of frying pans that are just slightly different sizes. I'm obviously looking around my kitchen and living room right now looking for things. But that's the sort of idea of it. You wouldn't have things that are just randomly painted different colours. It's all wacky. In a house, you'd have things all organised in patterns. And it's the same when it comes to desktop publishing. You want things to be in patterns and to make sense and not look uncomfortable. Repetition is the silent design element. So what things should we repeat? As I mentioned, colors can be repeated throughout a document, and that's extremely useful. We'll look at that later. Fonts as well. If you think about this PowerPoint that I'm using, all my fonts, all my colors are the exact same. Everything's the same. Otherwise, it would be a bit strange if I'm using different fonts and different slides and the colors were different. You like things being organized. You know where the title is. You know where my text is going to appear, and it's the same font, so it's easy to read instead of your eyes having to adjust to different fonts. Shapes. You want shapes to be the same in your whatever it is you're making in your publication, and you want the sizes to be similar. If things aren't the same size and are all over the place, you'll be confused as to what is meant to be where and what is actually in relation to what, basically. But we'll have a look at an example of something that has not been well organized and does not have any repetition to it. So this advertisement poster in the next slide will come up. You'll have 5 seconds to think about what you see on this poster that's advertising the world's 15 best restaurants. So if you want, you can pause the video just now, have a wee break, and then come back, and I'll give you 5 seconds to look at this poster and just think about it. Obviously, you can't tell me what it is that you see. Normally we do that in class, but I want you to just think about it in your head. What do you instantly see? And there we go. Your time is up. So what do you know instantly about the world's 15 best restaurants? You might know that the restaurants are from USA, Europe. You might know some of the cities. You might notice that the It has a number and then the name of the restaurant. But other than that, you'll probably notice that it's crazy. It's all over the place. Lots of colors, lots of different fonts, lots of sizes, lots of shapes. Nothing's really organized. And that annoys me, to be honest. Hopefully it annoys you as well, because we're going to try and fix that later. So repetition can be used to create unity and organization. It can make things organized. It can create unity. You know what is meant to be where. It makes sense that all the USA restaurants are together. It makes sense all the Asian restaurants are together. It makes sense all the European restaurants are together, rather than all over the place like they are at the moment. So what gives this design a look of inconsistency? And I've already described or explained that different fonts, different sizes, different shapes. USA is over here, Asia's down here. Yes, you might think that these are the Asian restaurants, but why is Zurich next to Asia? It's in Europe. You know, it's just not well aligned, and that is the issue that we're going to have a look at. So now you have the chance to use repetition to create unity and organization in this design. We'll do that in just a second, but I'm going to show you some other successful posters that will allow you to see repetition. So here's an example. Inception. If you haven't seen it, great film. Really good film. But look at this. We have repetition through the actors and actresses' names. It's the same font. It's the same size. They're all in a line with each other. It's the same font as the director, and it's the same font as in who it's also starring. The only difference is the title, Inception, and the wee caption, Your mind is the scene of the crime. It's all same font. Okay, it might be different colours depending on the background colour. It's either black or white. Okay, there is repetition there with the red face and the red font colour of Inception. So through that, there is repetition there. Here's another example. This is a magazine, and in each page it has this designer's name, Andreas Feininger, but has the body of text in the same position. And it's the same font, same colours. The only thing that's different is the image. But you know where things are laid out and where you should be reading. Another example, may have looked at this in a previous lesson, but shapes, these triangles, they're used again and again, repetitive. The font is repetitive. The font on the back is the same as the font in the front. Okay, the only thing that's really different is the font size. It gets smaller there. But here, for the songs in the back, it's all the exact same font. Same in the front, same font. Okay, same colours are being used. These pinkies and blues and dreamland-like colours, they're being used again and again. And the last example, Vogue magazine. Here we have similar colours, orange and blues. And orange and blues are used to then not only show the Ziggy Stardust lightning bolt, but also for the font colours. Vogue, orange. Blue for the headings. And then underneath, it's got the orange wee captions as well. But the headings, music, fashion, art, blue, apart from the big Vogue, which wants to stand out. Look at the fonts. They're all the same. Here, 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 here. They're all the same fonts. Font for the title's different, but at least there's consistency that the titles have all got the same font. So that's the repetition. You can use contrast, but also repetition at the same time. The contrast is the contrast in colours, but at least it's repeated through titles and captions. Okay, and that's how you can use contrast and repetition together, and how repetition is so useful. You will instantly know that titles are blue in that font, and you'll know that the captions are orange in that font. Okay, so now I want you to think about the areas of repetition we've looked into, and I want you to try and create unity and organisation within that advertisement that we had a look at previously. So here is the example or the exercise. You will have your own copy of this, and you can do whatever you want to. You do not have to do the same as what I will show you in a second, the solution. You can do whatever you want to this. You can move things about. You can, if you want, you can delete these, the love heart and the squiggles. Notice how the squiggles have different sizes. Okay, USA, where all the American restaurants. If you don't know where any of these cities are in the world, Google them. For example, you might not know where Zurich is. Google where it is. It's in Europe. Okay, it's in Europe. But you might not know other places. Where's Singapore? Okay, so you can Google where these cities are in the world and see which continent they belong to, either USA, Europe, or Asia. But what you should be thinking about is the shapes. All the shapes are different. Why not have the same shapes for depending on the continent? Colors are different as well. Same colors depending on the continent. And why don't you line them up slightly? Here's my solution. Here's one that I did earlier. It's not amazing. I just did it quickly, but at least that's all the one font. These are the same size. You've got USA, Asia, and Europe all in alignment. You know which restaurant belongs to which continent. And that is better unity. Repetition, I've used the same fonts. The fonts are the same size. There you go, that's 12, that's 12, that's 12. The repetition with the restaurants is that they're bold and underlined, whereas the city is not. I've mirrored these different rectangles across from each other, so blue, red, blue, red, blue, red, blue, red, blue, red, blue, red. Asia's got circles. So I've just been repetitive for shapes, colours, fonts, and sizes, and that's what you need to think about. You do not need to do it like mine. You can make it completely different, completely wacky. You might decide that you also want the background to be a different colour. I don't know, grey, that's horrible. Just have it white. I don't know, it's entirely up to you. I can't remember what colour I had it initially. It's entirely up to you what you do there. But try and create that repetition, create unity, and then hand this in once you're finished. But apart from that, that's all I've got to say, really. Maybe one more thing when you're moving things about, remember that you can right-click, go to order, bring to front, bring forward, send backwards, send to back. So if I send that backwards, nothing's happening, that's awkward. About this, order, send to back. There you go. The writing is at the back now. You can't really see it because it's white on white. So if I change that to border color, brain's gone to, brain's not working basically. So you can highlight it red. It stands out there, or there's font color, but I just can't remember where that is at the moment. So if I turn this off, it's right there. Just been silly. Now it's black. You can see it on the white background. Okay, so it's up to you what you do. You can move this background out of the way, bring it back in later on. You can take this, shove this over here, take the shapes. Let's get rid of that shape. Let's put it to the side, not that. Put this shape to the side for a moment. You know, you can move things about depending on what you want to do. It's entirely up to you. It's your edit. Just play about with it. Remember, you can do things by right-clicking. You can copy and paste. We looked at that before. To copy and paste, you can press Control-C, Control-V. There we go. We've now got the same font there. So you can do that with the shapes. You can do that with the writing. What else can you do? I'm just trying to think if there's anything else that you might need to know. If you right-click, you get all this. Rotate, order, copy and paste. And then you can come up here, you can align things, make it central, make it left aligned, right aligned, all this. Remember to back to what we did last week, okay? You have all the text here, font sizes, bold, underlined, italic, text color, highlight, fill color, border color, text box, shape, insert image, lines, everything's there, okay, that we looked at last week. So have a play about with this. Any questions, please ask. But the majority of this lesson is purely for you to edit this document, hand it in for marking, and I hope you enjoy this. Okay, speak to you soon. Bye-bye.